Okay, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Let's get started. I see Robert Sharp is here. How's it going? The Director of Marketing here at OneSource Video, and I'm joined by Lisa Grunert, the Director of Sales at OneSource, and also the OneSource sales team. Um, and we're all ready to learn about some exciting new products from NewBlue. So NewBlue VividCast is a great new live streaming software where you can design and overlay your own custom animated graphics, texts, logos, stylized comments, and much more into your live production. VividCast also contains ready-to-use transitions that you can map directly to the transition buttons on your ATEM. So it's really a perfectly paired combination of products, which we'll talk about here today as well. First-time users or volunteers involved with any kind of live production can easily pick up on these transitions without having to be an expert, which I think is great. So it can help out experienced users as well as first-time users or anyone without really an in-depth knowledge of productions or switching. So if you use or sell any type of ATEM Mini products, you're in the right place to learn about VividCast. I also know everyone is probably excited about the giveaways that we have going on today. We'll be giving away one ATEM Mini and NewBlue VividCast bundle. So one lucky reseller is going to get the whole package. So just drop a comment in the chat with your name, email, and company name to enter, and we'll do our famous spinning wheel at the very end and choose a winner. Okay, and from the NewBlue team, we have Robert Sharp, the president. We have Joe Zamora, the product specialist, and Toder Fay, the founder and CEO. So I do believe that Robert and Joe both have a nice presentation, demonstration for us. So let's transition over to Robert to tell us about VividCast. Robert?
Okay, can everybody see that screen? I'll
Yes.
take that as a yes.
Yes, we can, Robert.
Yes.
There's actually a little mosquito flying around in front of my face, so I'm not doing this to wave you all off. It's talk about timing. So this first screen, I like to talk about this, delivering a post-production polish to live broadcasts. And the reason I put this is, NewBlue's genesis, the history of NewBlue is steeped in the post-production industry. We've made plugins like Titler Pro and Total Effects for many, many years, and that's where we come from. Kind of the polish and the flourish that that post-production offers video. This is where we come from, and we're now bringing this to live broadcasts. Go ahead. So first, I'll just start off with the promotion so everyone's aware of this. This may be a little bit redundant, but it's 50% off the MSRP of VividCast and Titler Live Present when purchased with one of these ATEM Mini products below. VividCast and Titler Live Present are both regularly $599 MSRP. And so it'll be half that price if purchased with one of these ATEM Mini SKUs. So just very quickly, we have 3 products in our live production streaming solutions range. There's Titler Live, there's Fusion 2, which is hardware, and then there's VividCast. And I'll go into each of those very quickly. And then Joe can actually explain it and show you in more detail. So in Titler Live, we have 6 SKUs. One is, and you can see the MSRP next to each one of them. One is very sports centric, and it can connect to scoreboard data, like from Decktronics and Stat Crew and Sportscast. The other is more focused on social media. Connecting your graphics to social media sources. We had created this product originally for people who we thought maybe live streamers or people on YouTube Live. And then we realized really everyone from broadcasters to sports to House of Worship, anyone who's really using this wants this social media feature. So And then we have present, which is really good for any situations where there's like live presentations, corporate house of worships, events, education. It's just an easy way to manage lower thirds and titles. And then there's complete for $17.99, and that really puts together the power of present and social and sport on 2 channels. And then broadcast delivers unlimited layers. It also has API access, which is important for a lot of broadcasters who need to bring in different data, have control and integrate different data sources. And then the extreme is for almost $10,000. It's Titler Live Broadcast, but it also includes priority support and professional services. So you may have some customers that need some coding work to integrate their own APIs, and it includes professional training and then priority support. And of course, these work with all of the leading NDI and SDI solutions on the market. I know we're focused on ATEM here, so go ahead. And then VividCast it's a standalone. It's an all-in-one video streaming solution. It's software. It does all the switching and encoding as well as all the graphics in one solution, one easy-to-use solution. And Joe will show you more of that. Fusion is the hardware that comes with Titler Live Broadcast pre-installed. It's just a 1U short depth rack mount system with Windows. The SDI version has a deck link card in there. The Extreme has an 8K deck link card. The Extreme comes with Titler Live Extreme, which includes the professional services. And you can see the MSRP prices there. So that's it from my end. That's just a quick overview of what we offer for live production, live streaming solutions. And Joe will go into the products, Titler Live and VividCast. And Toder, if you want to add anything, please. I'm the new guy. I probably missed a ton of things, so.
You didn't miss anything.
That's impossible. Yeah,
no, I'm just really excited about the ATEM Mini is such an awesome product. It just is. And we've been working with this for the last over a month on all the different kinds of things you can do with it. And it's just beautiful. The API they provided is really powerful. And so we've been able to get in there, and Joe's going to show you all the different things we were able to do to really integrate it. Because when you take the ATEM and all of its power, its production capabilities, and then we feel like we can really complement this with all the polish of graphics and bring in the power of your personal computer, your Mac or your Windows PC, with the things that it can do, like web cameras, NDI support, media clips, all these different things, so that it really takes it. So the promise of an ATEM Mini becomes really complete, because you've got a full broadcasting system on your desktop. And so in the case of the Mini, the little ones, the first one, we take it, we add all the media stuff, and we add streaming and ISO recording. And then for all the other ones, which move on up, which have their own streaming and ISO recording, we focus on the ability to really integrate powerful graphics into them, so it works naturally in the way that an ATEM customer would want to work. So I'm sorry, I'm sounding like a salesperson, but I'm just so excited.
Yeah. No, it really is I would say it's integration with the ATEM that no other software has. I mean, it really is unparalleled, and we've worked really hard with their APIs to develop this support for the ATEM. With that, Joe,
thank you, gentlemen. That was very eloquent. So upon opening VividCast, we were greeted with the source monitor. So we can see already that my ATEM device here on the left is connected onto VividCast and is able to be retrieved as a live video source. So you can see this highlighted under the video switcher category. On the top right window, I can see my live output. So this is what will be being transmitted from VividCast. Over here in the bottom left, we have our graphics preview. So we can pretty quickly preview our graphics as we click through the playlist on the left here. So if I was to play a graphic from the playlist here, if I go for my title graphic here and I play it on live, we can see that it automatically overlays from my live output. And we can do this with everything from our playlist all the way down to something like a picture-in-picture. Now, if we want to set up our presentation, we go ahead and navigate to the setup menu here on the top left, and we're immediately greeted by the project settings. From the project settings, we can adjust how it is that we want our production to be broadcasted at in terms of frame rates and resolution. If we go down to live video input, we can see that this is where I had designated my ATEM switcher as the live video input device. As you can see in the drop-down menu, I have access to all variety of inputs that I have already on my computer or on a live NDI network. I have my ADA PTZ camera here. If I go down to my live audio input, I can also add audio sources that have been connected through my PC here. We can see a variety of microphones that I have from web cameras and all the way down to my Elgato and even my Blackmagic as a microphone source. Now here in the graphics category, I have the selection of graphics that I have already preloaded into this particular project. If I want to add new graphics, I can add graphics from the library, which is what will be similar to what is in Title Live Present. We have access to lower thirds, title cards, picture-in-picture, social media cards. And a lot of these collections are designed so that they fit a stylistic consistency or theme. You can see the different graphics that I have loaded onto my playlist. And I can even import or create graphics that will open a designer window. It gives me access to all the designer tools that would be also available from Title Live Present. And if I happen to create a graphic and save it to a file destination folder, I can also import graphics. And that is going to be using the NewBlue's NB title format to recognize those graphics and drop them in to the playlist, and they'll automatically populate and refresh to the left-hand side. VividCast also supports media clips. So if I was to add a media clip file, I have access to bringing in media clips and having those populate on the left-hand side here for my media. I can also solo these media clips so that they play each other out. And we also offer streaming. So as we know, from the ATEM Mini, we can use VividCast as the platform to stream from. And I have my different stream destinations: Facebook Live, Microsoft Stream, Switchboard Live, Twitch, YouTube, and I can also do SRT, RTMP. And depending on the network that you decide to stream on, you will have the corresponding fields to fill out. The VividCast also supports recording, and we can set a destination along with the encoder that we want to record at and the file format. And now, once we have the ATEM actually set up and connected properly to our personal computer, the ATEM category will appear. As you can see, I have synced to my ATEM Mini. I have detected the IP address. And from this menu, I can sync transition effects to my ATEM. So currently on my ATEM device, I have a roll right mapped to my wipe right, a shredder transition effects, which is from the Title Live library, and VividCast library down to my wipe down. I have a push right with my stinger transition, a squeeze right. I don't have assigned right now, so I have the freedom to not assign a transition to a particular transition effect from the ATEM. Mix, I have empty right now, and then I have a stinger transition for my dip. So if I go into my wipe right preset and I switch to my second camera, you can see it uses my transition effect, my rolling up and down. I can switch to my third camera, which is a view of me from the side, and the ADA PTZ camera, which is making very high quality image, and it also supports pan and zoom control. So if I want to turn this camera, you can see, and if I go to my second input, we have the pan and zoom functioning from the ATEM switcher, and also as a discoverable NDI source while connected to the ATEM switcher. So functionally, we can split that feed. As you can see, I have my picture-in-picture. I have the office view, which is my second camera source that you can see in the bottom. And I can go between having my ATEM or my third camera angle. And this over here on the left is also my other ADA camera pointed at the street. So now if I go back into the transition presets that I have set, I go to my wipe down, go to my first camera. We can see that it recognizes to use a shredder transition. Navigate over to the push left. We have that graphic overlaying. And if I go into my dip, I can dip between the three camera sources. We also have the ability to build scenes from VividCast. Let's say we want to compose a scene that already has all the selected graphics from the playlist all come in at once so that we can compose a story that we want to tell to our audience. For example, I have prepared this first scene, which is sort of a newscast style scene. We have our crawl at the bottom, and then we have our newscast title, and also have a picture-in-picture source on the top right here, with the street view of the AIDA camera pointing out towards outside the window. And if I now navigate to my second scene, you can now see a interviewer style picture-in-picture format with a bug on the bottom right, 2 different picture-in-picture sources, and me as the speaker on the left window. And we can even adjust these sources too. If we select on the graphic, we have the webcam source 1, and we have the selection of sources that we can map that particular picture-in-picture to. Now, if I want to transition into a different scene, I have it set up for social media, retains my web camera, and now I have a graphic on the right-hand side, which could either be mapped onto a specific preset of data, which I can manually set from here, or external data, which can then be connected to a social media controller for polling. Or I can set specific columns with preset data here and select between the different rows to populate that information on the right. I would just send here, and we will see that that first line of text will automatically be replaced. And we also have this social media graphic on the bottom right, which will look for, I currently have it set up to look for tweets. And if I search one source, we'll find a selection of tweets corresponding to either a hashtag or keywords on that particular post. Go ahead and get that source ready. The lights just turned off. And now we will see that that information automatically populates onto my social media graphic. So in this particular scenario, where users using the ATEM Mini and VividCast, we already grant them, they can already do switching from the ATEM Mini. And that's the main reason why they would be getting ATEM Mini, so that they have an easy hardware solution for switching between different sources. With VividCast, we have the opportunity to grant them live dynamic graphics that are customizable. They can create and generate custom playlists for themselves. And then on top of that, if they design a stylistic theme, they can also make custom transitions that they can map to preset buttons from the ATEM Mini. In this scenario, we would have 6. And then they would have a very flexible and fast production that they can produce from one window here, because the VividCast directly communicates with the ATEM Mini with the information that we're setting up here. And do note that I never had to actually consult the ATEM software control to assign these transitions and to play them. However, the ATEM software control is doing some of the function where it's queuing everything on its own. For us to switch transitions, you can see here that the ATEM software control is still doing its thing on the background.
And to give you a sense of the seamlessness of the integration, what actually happens is, because these transitions are aesthetically designed, they may have different durations. So one might be 1.5 seconds, another might be, a different. And it actually synchronizes with the ATEM and tells the ATEM, okay, since you've picked this particular one, now ATEM, make this transition last exactly this duration. So the synchronization goes back and forth between the two pieces of the hardware and the software, so that they're completely in sync. And you'll see more of this when he talks about what happens when we're doing Tidal Live Present.
That is a perfect segue into Tidal Live Present. Go ahead and close out VividCast. Now we have Tidal Live. So right away, we see some similarities with the Tidal Live interface and VividCast. I have the same project that I loaded onto VividCast on here on Tidal Live. We can see our stinger transitions, my text transitions, the same title cards, the lower thirds, my social graphic, bugs, and so on and so forth, even my picture-in-picture graphics. So from Tidal Live Present, we already have a playlist that's ready, and we can play out graphics with using the play button, similar to VividCast. However, with ATEM Mini connected, or any other ATEM device, we have the ATEM settings under the settings menu in the top left of the window. From here, we will see a very similar interface where we sync our ATEM mini, our IP address is recognized, but Tighter Live is able to send HDMI out that we can chroma key, and we were able to configure it so that it automatically keys out the camera source. So currently on my fourth camera, I have my HDMI source. So let me go ahead and set that up so I can see a quick preview of how that's done. So currently I have my HDMI source. I drag that over to my second monitor, and actually I can open OBS so we can get a quick preview of that second monitor. So if I go to my screen capture and turn on my second display, we can see that I have, oops, wrong one. You can see that I have my second monitor source for HDMI, and it's set up for green chroma keying. So now I come back to Tighter Live. I go to my ATEM settings, and I have camera 4 to ATEM to chroma key.
By the way, he set it to green chroma key, and it communicates that to the ATEM. If he'd set it to blue, then the ATEM would automatically switch to blue.
Exactly. So now if I bring in my ATEM as a camera source through, oops, wrong one, we can see that when I go to my fourth camera, it's green. And now when I go OK, I click OK, I automatically have it set up for chroma keying. If I switch to camera 1 and I play my graphic, we can now see that from OBS, I have my keyed out source. Let me go ahead and set this up a very easy way to have this play out. So if I go through my playlist, I play all my graphics, we can see that everything is playing automatically keyed out. And anybody that is familiar with the ATEM and the ATEM software control, this would be done manually. We would have to set up the keying from the upstream keyer here, and we would have to go and toggle the on air for the next transition. If I go into my Tighter Live and I press play, we can see that this is automatically happening as Tighter Live is instructing the ATEM software control to key that out automatically. So I have the freedom of going through an entire playlist for my production while staying on Tighter Live and seeing my preview and understanding what's going on without having to consult an extra window to make sure that the process is set up properly. You can see here, we can play our graphic back on live. We have our bullet list here. If I go back into the ATEM settings, I can now sync transitions with ATEM effects. And in this process, it's dissimilar in the sense that it's using the upstream keyer so that we can play transition effects between camera switches. Because from VividCast, we were overlaying it from our live output. So if I assign my wipe right to a Stinger transition 1, I press OK. I go back to my preview, and then I go to my wipe right on the ATEM mini right here. You can see now that it's switching between 3 cameras with the chroma keyed over as camera 4. We can see that our chroma key is still up, and then if I switch into these, it's keyed out with the green with my different camera angles. And we have the selection of, we have the flexibility of using any transition that we create, or using some of the transitions that are already existing in the library with some of the design collections that are already been created, and using those and assigning them from the ATEM settings to automatically be paired with the ATEM transition effects. One feature exclusive to Tighter Live Present that will be in this part of this bundle was going to be sending live titles to downstream keyer. Now, in this instance, we would have to turn off our HDMI out from the upstream keyer, because for this particular function, we are only operating through downstream keyer. And this is going to allow graphics to be played through the downstream key. So we can see that our downstream keyer is tied to the media bin. And in this instance, Tighter Live is sending a still of each graphic in my playlist and updating and automatically populating my media bin. And if you can see here, when I click through the various graphics, it automatically pulls that graphic from the playlist to be assigned as the media bin source. And now if I drag this over here to the right, we can click through and we see that it's using that PNG as an overlay through the downstream keyer. And it's using that as a fade in because that's pulling from the media bin and no longer is a keyed out source from Title Live through HDMI. So if a user wanted to stream through their ATEM mini ISO or Extreme with the streaming capabilities within it and still use graphics from Title Live Present, they have the opportunity of creating and designing an entire playlist and just having all their output be managed through the ATEM with all their camera sources mapped onto it, and then controlling graphics from here on Title Live playlist. And we can set the range of graphics that we want. Right now, it's currently set to stills 1 through 20, and that's going to be mirroring the exact list here on Title Live, the range of graphics that I'm going to be using from here. And if we happen to update these graphics, let's say, for example, I have my lower third here playing out live. We can see here, reference our screen on the right, that lower third is up through the downstream here. I have loaded a spreadsheet, an Excel file with 3 different information fields that will automatically update. You can see here, at least on Title Live preview, when I click through the 3 different lines within my sheet, they automatically populate. If I go ahead and consult my preview monitor here, we will see that, let me see if I can set this up on opposite ends, that it will automatically update that as if it were a live dynamic graphic. And it's doing this by updating the captured image that's being auto-populated into the bin. We can see here there's a small refresh to allow that happen. So despite it not being a live chroma keyed output, we can simulate a live dynamic environment with our graphics because of how quickly the refresh rate is responding to the updates that I'm doing on my graphics. If I was to play my main title card here and update these text fields, put my name, and have that change the color, make it a little bit more interesting, use that vibrant pink, play this live. And now if we go back onto our source, we can see now that my downstream here has immediately updated with my media bin to concede with the changes that I have done from Title Live Present. That about wraps up the ATEM integrations that we've done both for Title Live Present and for VividCast.
So I think, Stephen, there is a question here. Oops, where did it go? I lost it.
Yes, I have the question here. Does Title
Oh,
Live
okay.
integrate the mini line or also the other line of switchers, such as the television studio?
Well, the answer is yes, it definitely does. And with the higher end products, which use key and fill inputs over SDI, then we can do it that way also, which is, as you may know, our Fusion units use deck links. So we have extensive support for deck links, the full range of them. So on the higher end systems, typically what we'd recommend is you get Title Live Broadcast and you use the key and fill output to do really great stuff. The synchronization that occurs that he's been showing you still continues. So the ability to synchronize transitions and things like that still happens. But you just end up with, you're working with a higher end Blackmagic product, and appropriately it's working with SDI. Does that answer the question?
Bobby, I think that pretty much answered the question. I think you were very thorough with that, so thank you. Do we have any other questions? Keep in mind you might be muted, so you might have to unmute yourself. Or just drop the question in the chat and we can read it live.
Okay, before we move forward with any more questions, or if anybody joined in late, please enter your name, your company, and your email address so we could get it onto the spinning wheel for the end. Does anybody else have any questions out there?
Here's one. Are there any file format limitations?
That's a good one.
That's a great question. And actually, Joe is extensively experienced in working with the title designer and the different ways that you can import different designs into that. So I think that's a great question for Joe to answer.
Yeah, I can share my screen real quick and show exactly how importing things in Title Live would function. So if I go ahead and close my ATEM setup window and I open my Title Live, let's say I go inside this graphic and I click edit. and I want to start designing. If I go into the file section and navigate to the top left, I have the option to import. So for example, we go images, we have the availability of PNG, JPEG, GIF, bitmap, so on and so forth. We go into our import again and go to video. You can see the different files below, MPEG, .move AVI, WebM, and the GIF again. And then we also have the ability to import an image sequence, so PNG sequence. We have the ability to import a vector, and that would be in the EPS file format, which could be exported from something like Adobe Illustrator. We can import also a Photoshop file, and those individual layers will be automatically detected as layers like they would be in Tighter Life's designer. So if I hide these layers, you can see that there's individual layers that are building this particular graphic. If we were to load, let's say, a lower third that was created in Photoshop, those individual layers would behave the same way the layers on here are being built, along with those layers being able to be edited in 3D space as well. So any layer that's brought in from Photoshop can be rotated. We can add extrusion to that particular layer. That's extrusion, or we can even add, a video file to that particular. We'll see that it'll play. So you have the flexibility of using a Photoshop layer or Photoshop file layers as with the same amount of flexibility we would with a NewBlue layer from the NB title. If we can also import a design, which would just be a Tighter Life design. We can import an entire design and bring that on there. And there is also, you won't see it from here. Well, there's also the audio too. We can bring in WAV files, we can bring in MP3 files, and we can map those to particular sources. Here we see there's an add audio function. But I was about to say that there's the option to import, not import exactly, but to use After Effects and tag with a plugin that is installed when Tighter Life is installed, to tag layers to and then them be detected and converted into a Tighter Life file. So if you had an After Effects file and you tagged all the corresponding layers, let's say like a rectangle and an image, you tag those layers from After Effects, and then you use the custom import option that appears at the top left of your window, then that file gets saved out and exported as a title NB title file. And then your After Effects file, pretty much with all the elements that are assigned to it, and keyframing, transitions, and all that, animations, into a NB title that can be read through Tighter Life.
This is actually probably the most requested feature, because a lot of people have extensive investment in After Effects designs, and people who are very experienced working in After Effects, and it gives them the ability to bring all those beautiful motion layers they've already created right into here. And the cool thing that happens is that once it's in this system, it becomes a real-time playback system for these After Effects designs. In other words, what you already saw happening, where he's making simple changes in text and images and stuff, integrated into this, and Tighter Live's ability to just play these out in real time. Now you can actually do that with your After Effects designs, where the changes in terms of the text and the images and stuff integrated into those After Effects designs become real time, not something you have to pre-render everything beforehand and have it ready to play. It actually does that. So that's kind of cool.
Thank you, Toder. Does that answer that question?
Are there video tutorials to help us become more acquainted with these products? Stephen, I think that you were going to post some of the tutorials, and Joe created some specifically for the ATEM. You were going to put them on the OneSource site.
Yes, let me just drop it in the chat right here now. If you go to the listing for VividCast on OneSource's website,
There
you
it
can
is.
scroll to the bottom. Yep, there's a tab for videos, and then we have two very helpful videos in there. There's a VividCast tutorial. It's a little shorter video. It gives you kind of a quick tutorial about some features. And then there is a slightly longer VividCast walkthrough that Robert and Joe were helpful enough to provide for us. So that's a great resource if you ever want to cycle back to kind of view some more. This presentation is going to be available on our website. We'll record this and post it up there on the user groups and events tab. And then also, if you go to that link for the VividCast listing, we have those other walkthrough videos there as well.
And another question just appeared. Does the system support alpha channel in the video? If you were to import, let's say, an AVI or a .mov or a PNG sequence with alpha, it does recognize the alpha, and that will be, you would see the transparency enabled. And if you were to broadcast like with NDI out, it does NDI out with alpha.
And of course, if you're using key and fill, it does the alpha channel in that way. And then finally, as Joe was showing you, if you're hooking it up to an ATEM, you have two different ways of having your alpha. One is with the downstream key, where we're dropping these PNGs, which you already saw had transparency built into them. And then secondly, when you're doing a chroma key output, well then obviously the chroma key mechanism itself is how the alpha is being done. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Joe is walking through these features. You got one thing to know is that, and this is a nerd speaking, a nerd who loves APIs. The Blackmagic makes the most amazing API. It gave us full ability to get all these different things. So there's one moment where Joe's going like, it would be really cool if we could get transitions to synchronize. Is that possible? We looked at it, absolutely. So the reason I'm saying this is that this is the first pass. We really do look forward. Once this product is out there and people are using it, we fully expect that we're going to be hearing back from the community with really good suggestions of workflow enhancements that we can then continue to do. So I'm saying this now because I want those of you out there who are very familiar with the Blackmagic products and the kinds of things you'd like to see possible, it's likely these things can happen. So give us your feedback and encourage your customers to do that too, because this is a living, breathing thing that's going to get better and better. That's all. Thank you. I'll shut up.
Nah, you never have to shut up. We like the more you speak, the more they learn about the product. So that's awesome. And the other thing is, I just want to mention to everybody, yes, we understand you want to have videos to be able to do it, but please contact your sales rep. They would be more than happy to set up a Zoom meeting with the NewBlue, and you guys could be on a one-on-one training with them. So please reach out at any time. We have 3 gentlemen here that are waiting to be able to walk you through step by step, whatever you need. So please do not hesitate to contact your rep and get the Zoom set up for them, okay?
And Lisa, I would add that we're always available to join you on customer calls as well to help you do demos for customers. We have a training department here, and we're just sitting waiting by the phone, waiting for your call.
So let's keep them busy on the toes and keep producing some more awesome products. Because feedback from the customers always help them build a better product also in the long run. So feedback is a very important thing. If anybody could reach out, anybody using it, any feedback you could get back would be very awesome and appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I just have one comment. So I've been here for 2 months, and I'm putting together this damn fly. I've been putting together this PowerPoint on different market segments, and I'm looking at house of worship and sports and corporate and event marketing. And so what I've done is I've created like a good example of live production in that industry and a bad example. And it's just interesting. Like, I have one is like a dealership, a car dealership, and it's very boring and there's no titles and there's a couple of guys at the table. And it's like, oh gosh, this is the cure for insomnia. And then you look at, then there's sort of the, what was it? It was the annual CEO for I think it was like an oil company. And it was very highly produced. And it was like good, bad. And I did that for each industry. And it was really interesting. Like those who've embraced live production, technologies and best practices, and those who haven't. And it was very stark contrast. So it was kind of a wake-up call.
If we have no other kind of questions or anything like that, we can move on to the giveaway. I'm sure everyone's anxiously waiting to get their hands on that ATEM Mini in VividCast. So let's go ahead and get the wheel up.
Oh, look at this.
Okay, so if everyone's seeing this, let's go ahead and I was busy during the presentation getting everyone's name. on here. So let's go. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel.
This is great.
Ooh, so it looks like Dustin.
This is great.
Congratulations. We'll get that bundle out to you right away, and tell us what you think about it. And yeah, perfect. So on behalf of myself and the OneSource team, thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Robert, Toter, and Joe for being here and putting on this great presentation. And by all means, reach out to your sales rep, reach out to us if you have any questions, if you want some more training, some more walkthroughs, or any other kind of material, any other kind of information. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank
Be
you.
safe.
We really appreciate
you.
it. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
All righty. Be safe out there, everyone. See you
Take
next
care.
month. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.